Well, good morning and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. And I do apologize for being a little bit behind schedule, but thank you guys so much for joining me this morning. And let's honor God with our bodies. Let's get that showing. Yes, God, help us to guard, please guard our mind and our thoughts. God, help me to fix my thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable, so I would think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. God, please protect my ears and help us listen to your voice, God. God, help me to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. God, please protect my eyes and help me um, to protect my eyes from sin's damage. God, I make a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully. God, please speak life over my mouth. God, set a guard over my mouth. Lord, keep watch over the doors of my lips. God, please help our hands to serve generously. God, help me to do good to everyone, and especially to those who belong to our family in the faith. God, please protect my reproductive organs and help us to honor you, God, with purity. God, help me to honor you with my body. And God, please protect my feet as we walk along your path. God, let your word be a lamp for my feet and a light on my path. And thanks again for joining this morning. And I do apologize for the lateness. I overslept. I'm human. And I have a live show, and I woke up and I was like, oh no. So I was like, let me get on the air as soon as I can. So we will um, have our wonderful 30-minute Tell It All Tuesday, and that'll be it. So when the 30 minutes ends, that's what we're doing. And hi from India. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And let's start the day off with our topics, our trending topics on X. So RFK announces a federal push against Lyme and tick diseases with Dennis Quaid. That's actually pretty good. I actually knew of an individual. She almost died of Lyme disease, didn't realize she had it, and the doctors didn't know. And, just through her own research and finding actually a doctor that practiced herbal medicine, she was able to figure out what was going on with her body. So I'm glad that that he has a push. Let's see. And then a double amputee veteran retrieves fallen flag on a busy interstate. Wow, that's that's intense. And then a New York Assemblywoman defends stealing soap and toothpaste as a biological need. Okay, look, this whole thing making theft legal, and we saw this definitely during COVID, right? Where a lot of the cities, they lowered the I want to say they lowered the threshold of what you could be held accountable for. So in certain states like gotta turn my light on here. Um, California, I think you could steal up to so much as long as it wasn't over $1,000. And that's why I was saying, is this threshold that they had. So really, stop making things that are illegal legal. It's not. Toothpaste and soap are not, they're good biologicals to have, but it's not, how should I say it? It's not your God-given right to have it. It's not. That is something that you have to supply for yourself. Either your parents supply it, right? Or there may be charitable organizations that can help you with it, right? If somebody has kindness on you. But stores that are selling a product are not obligated to give you anything. They're not. You have to work for what you want to have for yourself. Stop that. Stop it. Now, are there things in nature that people can use as soap and toothpaste? There sure are. And they should look them up if they cannot afford to purchase toothpaste or soap. That's where I'm at with it. Let's stop justifying criminal behavior. Let's stop creating criminals, because I guarantee you she's more than likely a socialist talking like this. So Emily Gallagher, a Democratic socialist, why are we shocked? From Brooklyn, Greenpoint, and Williamsburg. argued that jailing people for stealing everyday items like soap or toothpaste perpetrates poverty cycles while protecting big chains like CVS and Walgreens. Her remarks drew sharp criticism for blurring lines between hardship and organized theft. Amid rising store closures in cities like New York, right? The debate highlights tensions between criminal justice reform and public safety concerns, echoing similar pushback to California's retail theft diversion bill. That is hilarious. Now, I didn't look at this before I started talking to you guys about California and all these things. Oh my goodness. It's crazy. It says, why do you even get access to stream everybody? Why do you even get access? Wow, that's pretty interesting. Like, why would you say something like that? I get access to stream person because, first of all, I pay for it to have the ability to stream, and telling people to unsubscribe to my channel. Really? That's what you want to do at 7:28 in the morning? That's really sad. You need to find another channel to participate with. You know, I'm really appreciative of the audience I have. Again, I apologize for waking up late. We've been traveling. my time, trust me, my timing is a little bit off. But you know what? I'm human. I'm gonna roll with the punches, and I'm gonna make sure that we broadcast today, even though it's gonna run till probably about a little bit close to 8 o'clock. But again, thank you guys for joining me, and I really appreciate you. Um, But let's see. These are just silly kids. Chicago mayor. They just need soap assembly woman. Oh, they just need bread to feed their family. Okay, so this would be Brandon Johnson. This would be this assembly woman we're just talking about. And then AOC saying they just need bread to feed their families. But here's the thing. We have local government, especially local government, to maintain order. If you are going to, side with criminals, you are basically saying you are okay with disorder and disarray in your cities. And in my opinion, you should not be serving, period. This assemblywoman, she should be immediately removed from her seat. Immediately. Because see, stores like CVS are going to have to close. The bodegas, they're going to have to close. If there's constant theft, they're going to have to close because it's going to raise their insurance prices, and they're not going to be able to afford to function in those areas, nor are they going to be able to hire people that live in those areas, right? So those people can afford to buy things in that area. It is really, really crazy. So, just in, and this was 18 hours ago, outrage is erupting in California after California Democrats moved to pass a new law that coddles criminals if they commit a crime of necessity and poverty, effectively legalizing swaths of crime. This is sad. I mean, really? You're just going to legalize crime? And then, see, because you think it's not going to hit your house. So what happens when the thieves are at your house? And they just want to steal your car? Insurance will pay for it if it's stolen. So why are you upset? You know what I mean? Stop it. I understand that there are people in poverty, but we have to ask, why are they in poverty? Do they have a sickness or illness preventing them? Do they have a mental disorder preventing? Do they have a drug problem that's preventing them? Because see, billions of dollars have been poured into California, and we'll just use California as the example here, to help individuals with their lives, in essence, to help them with programs. There's welfare programs. They do food stamps and cash aid. There are other homeless programs, specifically the Los Angeles homeless program. And I think there was like 200 million or some crazy number. And a judge, is trying to make the administration pay this organization to take care of homeless people. The homeless situation has gotten worse in California, not better. And they have literally poured billions of dollars into it. because there's no accountability. No one has to report, hey, we have 1,000 homeless people this year, but next year we have 500. So we've been able to basically help 500 people either find homes or get them the treatments that they need, so they're no longer on the street. Like, that's where we should be at, but that's not what they're doing. And now they want to make it legal to be involved in criminal behavior. This is disgusting.
The amendments make it clear that this policy only applies to low-level theft crimes, no felonies, and codifies case law. And while we have diversion programs for drugs and mental health, we do not have the same for crimes of necessity led by poverty.
I mean, what's a crime of necessity?
Well, socialism is theft. So no wonder they support it. These are people who can't produce, so they steal instead. Starting with Karl Marx, who started it all. I'll tell you a story about him. He grew up to a father that was a lawyer. He went to an elite university, but he still couldn't cut it. He still squandered it. He was in debt. He couldn't hold a career as well. So instead, he lived off of this guy, Frederick Engels, who also came from a very wealthy family.
The amendments make it clear that this policy only applies to
Again, socialism and communism are for the rich. Like, broke people can't afford to be up under it. Normal people can't even afford to be up under it. You know, it's got to stop. But to codify, well, crimes of necessity, what does that even mean? No, California, theft is theft. And to actually write policies, because we're not supposed to steal at any level, especially at the federal level, or to me, organized crime has become these NGOs and these charitable organizations that it's organized crime. You guys, I'm sorry. It should be to help people, and it's completely organized crime. It's really, really sad. I mean, where does it stop? I guess that's my question. Where does it stop? Because there's a video, I want to say sometime last year, that I played where a young lady, she was with her friend, and she was like, oh, I wish you would have told me where we were, because I would have told you this particular city. They don't play that here. You can't just steal here. If we were in a different place, we could. And I was like, wow, this young woman knows where she can steal and get away with it. But that's what you're training people to do. That's none of that's good. None of it. Now, I wanted to skip over to here just to check this out from RFK. He just dropped the quiet part out loud. The CDC threw out the only study that actually tested vaccines for autism. Now, this is from RFK. The DPT shot, that study, found the link. They buried it. They kept injecting our babies anyway. Wow. It's sad. And I have no doubt that that's probably what happened.
But people said to me during the hearing, oh, well, this link between autism and vaccines has been disproven. None of the vaccines that are given during the first 6 months of life have ever been tested for. The only one was the DTP vaccine, and that one study that was done, according to the Institute of Medicine, the National Academy of Sciences, found that there was a link. They threw out that study because it was based upon CDC's surveillance system, theirs, and they said that system is no good. It begs the question is, why doesn't CDC have a functional surveillance system? We're going to make sure they do have a functional surveillance system. Right now, surveillance system is the system that, because they don't do pre-licensing safety testing for vaccines, they're the only product that's exempt. So what they say is, if there are injuries, we'll capture them afterward. But they have a system that doesn't capture them. In fact, CDC's own study of its own system said it captures fewer than 1% of vaccine injuries. It's worthless. And everybody agrees it's worthless. But why have we gone for 39 years and nobody's fixed it?
Without a functional system. Right.
We're going to fix it. And we have, we have Doge, knows how to manage data. And so we're going to be able to get into these databases and give answers to the American public. And we're going to fix the problems. If there are problems, we're going to fix them very quickly, but we're going to follow the science. That's what we're going to do. We're going to have gold standard science, and we're going to follow the science. We're going to publish all of our data sets, which CDC has never done. We're going to do replication of all of our studies, which CDC has never done. We're going to publish our peer review, which CDC has never done. So people are going to have real answers for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah. This is why they don't like RFK. This is why. Because he actually wants to do right by the people. I really appreciate all the hard work he is doing. And just to look quickly at all sides. So a group published bogus polls on Los Angeles and Wisconsin races as part of a social experiment. Oh, wow. So Media Strategies, a polling company, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass publicly referred during her re-election campaign, has shut down and said that all of its polls were counterfeit. Wow. Shocker. And the only reason I say that is because some of it just didn't make sense. It really, really didn't. But people believe polling. And they'll kind of go like, oh, yeah, this is better than this seems. And this is better than. So people go, okay, I should go along with that. Now they're shut down. Is there going to be any investigation behind it? And will it matter is the question. Texas GOP focus on Islamophobia or protecting against Sharia law. Look, you cannot have a law that supersedes the Constitution, even if you're claiming, quote unquote, it's your religion. No, it doesn't work that way. It runs contrary to our Constitution, and it's a law. You have your own courts. Christians don't have their own court, and Christians don't run contrary to the Constitution. We actually just go by the law. People that practice Buddhism, they respect the law. I'm trying to think. Any other religions out there, they respect the law. They live within the law. But for some reason, those who practice Islam are like, we're above the law. We don't have to listen to you. We don't have to do what you say. And then you need to find a country to live in that's not the United States. That's my opinion on people who practice Islam in that respect. Because there are people that practice Islam who aren't like that. The Nation of Islam isn't like that. They actually protect the laws. You know, they may not have, the greatest outlook on how the laws have been carried out in this country, but they're not out breaking the laws. They're actually, telling young men, hey, make sure that you are a strong man in your household and that you're protecting your community and that you're standing up for your community. That's what they're doing. And they're practicing Islam, but not the jihad type that has Sharia law. There's a difference. Okay. And then this other article, why did Trump scale back military exercises with South Korea? Who knows? And sometimes I read some of these headlines and I'm like, is this stuff true? USS Abraham Lincoln to return to U.S. after reports of mental crisis, poor conditions in the Middle East. Yeah, I was seeing something, and yeah, they're having a hard time out at sea, which is interesting because that's part of their job as the Navy. And it says, what do Trump's vaccine charges mean for back to school season? Changes mean for back to school season? It means that schools are no longer going to be able to demand people be vaccinated. That's really what it comes down to. These individuals who try to lord it over other people and tell them, you have to do this and you have to do what we say all the time. No, they don't. Those individuals, they're going to have to know their place in life and leave parents alone and work with parents, right? There are some parents that don't want to get their children vaccinated at all. There are other parents that are saying, my child's on a schedule that's a little bit slower, right? I'm working with my doctor because I don't want to give my child so many shots at one time. And as a parent, we need to let parents do that and be parents, right? Because the government isn't the parent. The school is not the parent. The state is not the parent. You need to let parents be parents and work with them. Are Ukraine strikes on Russia's Amazon equivalent justified and effective? We'll see. And then Ukraine continues high volume, long range drone strikes against Russia with attacks on Moscow and Rostov. Oh, yeah, we read that from yesterday. I don't know. I really am looking forward to the day when we wake up and the whole Russian Ukraine thing is up. They've wrapped it up because I'm kind of exhausted at this point. We've been sending money to Ukraine since 2012. They've been battling with Russia since Trump's first term. It's just exhausting. Get it together. Get it together. But now I wanted to check out this video. It is from Sunday, but it has some really good commentary in there.
Governor Greg Abbott is pausing new data center approvals in Texas as the state reviews hundreds of proposed projects over concerns about the power grid. Now, President Trump is weighing in, calling Abbott's move a, quote, mistake. For more, let's bring in Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Governor, it is so great to see you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you. So you've raised concern about the power grid in this AI fight. The president took a swipe at your decision. In his mind, it may put the world's #1 data center market in the slow lane. Here's what he said. I want to get your reaction.
For Texas to say no to data centers is a mistake in the sense that it could be bigger than oil. I mean, data centers could be bigger than oil. You have the Texas oil, and there are a lot of communities that want them, but more importantly, and bad for us, there are a lot of countries that want them. And if we turn off on data centers, or we turn off on AI.
Is the president wrong, or does he fundamentally misunderstand something about your position?
Well, Jackie, I need to provide the full context of the decision, and so I can clarify the entire situation, and that is what I did is I pressed pause on any new data center approval in the state of Texas, and then I established guidelines and guardrails for all data centers to comply with. One is data centers must not take water that is needed by rural communities. They must not take power that's needed by the Texas power grid. They must lower the cost of electricity for consumers, and they must not disturb neighborhoods or rural communities. And those guidelines and guardrails have now been fully applied to all data centers across the state of Texas. Then, in addition to that, one of the triggers for putting the pause in place, and that is that the state power grid, known as ERCOT, they were receiving requests for 5 times more power than the state power grid was able to deliver. If the state power grid were to accept all of those applications, obviously it would compromise our ability to maintain a stable and reliable grid. Hence, the need for investigation. And then it was the data centers themselves that were part of the reason why the investigation was needed, and that is because a Texas state agency requested all current and future applicants for power grid ability in the state of Texas to provide information about how much power they were either using or were going to be using over the next 5 years, and less than 10% of those data centers actually responded to that information. So the power grid in the state of Texas was dealing with less than 10% of the information that it needed to make determinations on the power grid applicants. It'd be like giving you a 100-piece puzzle and say, listen, you're going to solve this puzzle with only 9 pieces. Obviously, that's not enough to solve the puzzle, and it's certainly not enough for the power grid in the state of Texas to make fully informed decisions about these data centers that are trying to be taking power from the Texas power grid.
Yeah, this industry obviously grew very fast and was not as much of a hot button issue even just a few years ago. So always an open question about how quickly you can put safeguards in place, especially when you're dealing with something like AI. I want to get to something else, though. This surrogacy story that's gripped a lot of headlines. There was a surrogate, McKenna West. She came to Texas after she said she was pressured to terminate her pregnancy. There's her baby diagnosed with a severe heart defect. The biological parents, she says, pressured her to terminate the pregnancy. The Attorney General, Ken Paxton, stepped in. The Texas courts made sure that she got life-saving treatment. And now Paxton is making it part of his Senate campaign against James Tellerico. Listen to this.
But our goal was just to save the baby, make sure that the baby had the opportunity to get life-sustaining treatment, which everybody deserves. no matter what your age is, and that's what we fought for, and that's what we got. I think he's afraid to comment because if he says the right thing, it would offend a lot of his liberal Democrats. If he says the wrong thing, then which is opposing what we did, was to make sure this baby could live, then most of Texas is not going to like his answer.
Putting the politics of this question aside, there is the broader concern that this sheds light on about who should have the ultimate authority in a decision like this. And I want to get your answer. Do you think it should be the woman carrying the baby, the biological parents who executed a contract, or the state? I mean, how do you make a decision like that in the future?
Well, listen, part of it is determined by the state in which the person, the woman carrying the baby, is in at the time that she is pregnant, at the time that she would give birth. Texas is the most pro-life state in the United States of America. We understand the concept that for a child to have a chance in life, that child must first have a chance at life. And so we protect the life of the baby while the mother is carrying it, and at the time of birth, and in the early days of its life, to make sure it's going to be able to receive all medical treatment that is necessary. And that is exactly what's happened to baby Gabriel here in the state of Texas.
Okay. I also want to get your take on this other news. You stopped down the installation of some planned Islamic foot washing stations at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. You wrote to Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, these facilities appear designed to single out one subset of the population for special treatment based on religion. I'm unaware of either airport installing standalone facilities to meet the particular needs of the many other religious groups represented across Texas. That is illegal. Both airports are government-owned facilities. Both the federal and state constitutions prohibit the government from facilitating this kind of discrimination. You're referencing George Bush International Airport as the other airport under discussion here, and that airport, IAH, already has one of these foot washing stations. So I want to ask you, are you advocating that existing foot washing station get pulled out?
So both for any proposed or any existing facilities like that are simply unconstitutional and illegal. Let me explain what I did here as well as what I've done before, and that is any Muslim-only location like this or any Muslim-only event in the state of Texas, we've shut down. You cannot have a Muslim-only washing station in an airport. You can, before that, shut down a Muslim-only event in Grand Prairie, a Muslim-only event at school districts in various regions across the state of Texas, because that is very simply illegal. One factor weighing in here with the airport, and that is there are two different parts of an airport, one of which is governed by our local cities, the other which is governed by the federal government here by Secretary Duffy. If it is before you get to the TSA check-in, that's governed by the city, and the state of Texas is going to crack down and eliminate funding for that city if they don't comply with the standard that I've articulated. Once a passenger gets inside the TSA checkpoint, that is then governed by the federal government and is subject to Secretary Duffy to make sure that they too crack down on and eliminate these washing centers because they are in violation of the United States Constitution.
Okay. You've argued also that government neutrality toward religion shouldn't mean eliminating religious expression. That was an argument that you made during the Ten Commandments in Classrooms debate. Is there an argument here that applies to that? And I ask because there's a conservative activist, Ryan Fournier, who wrote in the New York Post, or was quoted rather, this isn't about pushing an ideology, it's basic airport management. People washing their feet in standard bathroom sinks creates soaked, slippery floors and breaks the counters. Low-level voodoo basins keep the restrooms dry and safe for everyone. The comparison being made is that, the Ten Commandments, you said, were not only religious but historical. It wasn't a religious-only argument. Is there a similar argument that these critics are raising now that's valid, or would you say that it's not?
So you're talking apples and oranges. I'll walk through it very quickly. If there are special facilities allowed for those who are Muslims, there must also be special facilities allowed for Christians, for Jews, and literally dozens, if not hundreds, of other religious faiths of people who are coming through our airports, and that simply is unfeasible. Second, let's go back. To be clear, I personally argued the Ten Commandments case of a monument on the Texas Capitol grounds to the United States Supreme Court and won by making clear that the Ten Commandments were part of the legal system and traditions of the state of Texas from our beginning to who we are today. And we are just teaching components of what made Texas history what it is by the Ten Commandments, such as thou shalt not kill and other principles like that, whereas these other religious faiths, they don't have the same application over the course of the history of the state of Texas, and hence do not need to be recognized either in our schools or on the Texas Capitol ground like other religions.
Okay, we will continue to follow it. Governor Greg Abbott, thank you very much for talking with us on the Sunday briefing, sir. Great to see you. Thank you.
Be sure to.
Yeah. So the reason why I played that all the way through is because it hit on so many different topics, especially data centers. The data centers are a huge, huge thing, even here in the state of Georgia. And I'm praying and hoping that our new governor, whichever governor that's going to be here in Georgia, that they stop any new productions of data centers. Just, halt it indefinitely. Because like he was saying, it is a pull on the data. On the environment and on the electrical grid, and everybody's electricity bills go up because it's using more electricity. Their bills aren't going up because, according to a lot of the contracts that I've heard about, they're getting a discount on what they have to pay. And they're also paying less in, taxes. There's a tax break for them to be here because, quote unquote, it's, creating jobs. And whenever you have a job creator company, they do get certain tax breaks so that they can employ people. But eventually, these data centers, they're not going to need continuous building. They're not going to need continuous employees because they're pretty self-sustaining. And everybody goes, well, who are they even for? Well, they're for places like Google and Amazon so they can run more data. Yeah. But Google and Amazon, they're not caring about what happens to the environment that people actually have to live in, human beings. I understand President Trump's goal of trying to make sure that we are competitive within the world. And, my husband and I were talking about it. He's like, you look at China. China has less than 300 data centers or something like that. We have over 4,000 here in the United States. Really? Do we need all of that? Because all we've seen is destruction behind it, noise pollution behind it. No one's benefiting from these data centers. And I really think they need to actually do a study that shows the benefit analysis, right? Some people call it the cost benefit analysis, but that analysis that really shows how it's affecting people in their everyday lives with the environment. And is it plausible? And should we continue to have it? Now, on to the baby Gabriel story. That is very interesting because, yes, surrogates, they are under a contract. I don't know if in the contract it has, under certain circumstances, who has the final say with the baby, right? And the mother. But contracts probably should be written that way. In my opinion, this is like a force majeure. It's an act of God. It's something that no one foresaw coming. And then it comes back down to, the surrogate, her life wasn't in danger, but the baby was. And she was like, I'm not going to kill this baby because you don't, as parents, want to have to take care of this baby when it comes out. That's really weird to me. So I'm glad that the surrogate did side with the child because, what if this baby comes out, they do the surgery, and, this child might be one of the next, world leaders. We don't know what's going to happen with this child's life, but I'm grateful to the surrogate for protecting the baby's life. And then on to the last story where they were talking about, individuals that practice Islam wanting feet washing stations. That was the first I'd ever heard of it. I didn't even know it was a thing. I was like, why are they washing their feet? But I guess, hey, that's your thing. But you should have I don't know if you guys need to sell something so you can wash your feet, so you can carry it with you, whatever, what have you. But to be asking for, we need a section just for us. No, because to Governor Abbott's point, you would have to do it for everybody. You cannot do it for just one specific group of people. Like, y'all are a problem. And I'm not saying everybody who practices Islam is a problem, but for those who are demanding this stuff, y'all got to go home. You can't live here in the United States. You cannot live among us because you don't know how to be an American. You don't. Now, you've got a choice. Practice Islam or be an American. Now, if you can be an American and practice Islam without it conflicting with our laws on this soil, hey, great. But if you can't, you need to find a country that supports everything that you do, everything that you want to do, and be there, because you are running contrary to this country. That's all I'm going to say on that. But you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News. Again, I'm so sorry I was late this morning. But again, thank you for joining me. We'll be back tomorrow with Women in Wellness Wednesday. So remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you in the next one.